As you can see, there's a little bundle of astrology books on my table here. I'm just going to go through them very, very quickly, one in turn, so you can see what they are. Here we have a paperback from, I think, the 70s by Barbara Waters, one of the first books to study murders from the point of view of astrology. There have been others more recently, of course, but this one's just a mass market paperback, which I didn't obtain until quite recently, actually. Then we have a little book by Dane Ruja called Astrological Themes of Meditation, which is probably from a similar time period. And here we have The Bride's Horoscope by June Marsden, which is a tiny pamphlet, and this is just the outlook for brides who have a particular sun sign. I think in this case it may be Pisces, which was purely by chance because this is the one that was available. Yes, you can see on the front there it says Pisces in fact. I presume there are actually 12 of these issued, but this is the only one I've seen so far, and this is quite an old book, sort of mid-20th century. And then here we have one of the 9 volumes in the Studies in Astrology series issued by the Rosicrucian Fellowship in the USA. I had all 9 before, but I discovered that my copy of volume 2, this one, was defective, that quite a lot of the page has been printed blank, so I had to replace it. Now here we have a little book called Hermetic Astronomy by Paracelsus, and this is a little pamphlet which has been published by the Holmes publishing group, J.D. Holmes, some time ago, but not very long ago. Another one of his publications here called The Wisdom of the Chaldeans by Moses Gaster, which is also a little paperback. And then here we have a photocopy of a series of articles on the signs of the zodiac from an old periodical, a general kind of esoteric periodical that was edited by somebody called, I think, H.W. Percival, and his magazine was called The World. I don't have it because it's not specifically astrological, and there are quite a few volumes and they're very expensive, but a photocopy just of the serialized feature on the zodiac came up, and so I purchased that. Here we have a little modern paperback called Aspects at a Glance by Ruth Epstein, and then we have a slightly older book, early 1960s I think, by Marguerite Carter, called There is a Shortcut to Success. Marguerite Carter was known for developing a system called unitology, which is related to astrology. And this is a book called Cosmic Astrology, The Religion of the Stars by June Wakefield, also mid-20th century. Then we have one called Chart Your Future, a little pamphlet by Albert Benjamin, also known as C.C. Zane, and this was also mid-20th. Here we have The Hindu Dasa System by Grace Inglis, one of a number of books on Indian astrological traditions that she wrote, and I think this is mid to late-ish 20th century without looking it up. This is a book by Joan Quigley called Astrology for Teens. She also wrote books called Astrology for Adults and Astrology for Parents of children and teenagers, so this was actually her first book before those other two, and it's just a paperback, a mass market paperback, but she wrote it under a pseudonym of Star Angel, Angel Star, I forget which. This is a book called Zodiacal Constellations, Atlas of Heavens by Manik Chand Jain, or Jain, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, an Indian astrologer who produced several books in the mid to late 20th century. And here's another of his books, Karmic Control Planets, this one's called. This little book called Astrology and Horse Racing, 1969, which was a forecast together with some theory on astrological correlations with horse racing by somebody who used a pseudonym of Regal Speaker. Sounds like names of fixed stars to me. I don't know what his real name was, or her real name, as the case may be. This is a signed copy of Noel Till's Aspects Astrology and Personality, Volume 5 of the Principles and Practice of Astrology. You can just about see his signature there, very, very florid handwriting. And this little book from the 1930s called The Zodiacal Bible by C.R. Bryan, which in fact is about the Bible and how the signs of the zodiac are represented in it. So this is actually a proper work of Bible astrology. And we have another similar sort of work, but much more recent one, by the late Don Moby Dick Jacobs, called Astrologer's Pew in Church. And this is a later paperback edition which has many more pages than the original A4 sized sort of custom made edition. This is a properly bound one, but I don't think there are many copies